man. Dude, how's your week been?
Man, it's been pretty good. Feeling some quad soreness from
Uh,
the CrossFit, so
we
it's a good sore.
we did have a fun little quad video.
I forgot about that. We did because I'm actually wearing the same shirt.
Right.
Didn't realize I have like 3 shirts.
Right. Yeah, your fall attire, it doesn't spread out much.
It's gonna be this, or green one,
Mhm.
or a hoodie. But I have a lot of hats, so it'll be a lot of different hats.
I wear this hoodie a good bit too, but
You do.
but I've got my gray hoodie. Zeke found it for me last night. It's like my OG workout hoodie.
I know that hoodie.
Oh yeah.
The
I'm
holes in it.
yeah, I think I'm gonna wear it
Yeah.
one of the next episodes.
It has like a just eternal gem stench.
Oh yeah,
I don't care how much you wash it.
yeah, we've washed it so many times and it doesn't get out. It lives there. I think one of the arms is almost completely off.
I think you're right. I remember that.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing.
But how's your week been?
Man, it's been good. Some good times at school. I got our classes change at the quarter.
Right.
So I got a whole new crew of kids and
Nice.
pretty pumped, man. Having a lot of fun with them.
Didn't you say you shared an episode of the Andy Griffith
I
Show?
did. I did.
Yeah.
We watched little Andy and you guys will hear later in this episode about what one of my students said about the Andy Griffith Show. Pretty funny. And but yeah, man, guys, we got a really cool guest coming on today. Like I'm pretty pumped. It's our first time having an actual like movie guy on. That's he's a producer, right?
Producer, director, all the above. I think he's kind of done a little bit of all of it.
Like him and his brother put together this series called Mayberry Man, and they have a movie Mayberry Man, and they're prepping for season 2 of it. Right. So he's going to talk about that and ways that you can get in and support that. But it's pretty awesome to hear behind the scenes and what it goes through for these smaller independent film companies to go ahead and make movies.
Also, they're just their family connection to the Andy Griffith Show. You'll hear more about it, but his dad was one of the like smaller roles in the actual show. That's pretty cool. But he grew up close to the Howard family. Talks a little bit about that. But if you're definitely a fan of like the classic shows, like the Andy Griffith Show, then I really think you're gonna like this episode.
Which, if you guys know anything about me, I love those kind of shows.
I do.
I'm the biggest fan.
You do.
So
I like them.
Right.
But you're a huge fan.
Yeah. Like he's a normal like. I'm really
obsessive,
love it. Yeah.
Some might say.
Maybe.
Just a tad bit. That's okay. You can be obsessive over worse things.
Right. True.
Griffith,
But guys, get ready. We got a fun episode ahead, and I don't know what just happened with my voice. I was like,
cut to the intro.
I was like a goat. But
I'd
like to introduce myself. I don't believe that we have ever met. I think that we could hit it off so well. Let me paint a picture, you and me together. I'd like to introduce myself.
Hey guys, this is Mark.
This is Austin.
And welcome back to Life with Rojo. Today, we are joined with a phenomenal guest. I'm so excited about this because y'all have heard from previous episodes. Y'all know I'm a huge fan of the Andy Griffith Show. And, one of my favorite towns to visit is Mount Airy, which is, Mayberry. And, just love it. But what we've got today is a very special guest. Austin, tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah, we've got don't get me wrong, the producer and founder and kind of like the dreamer behind the show Mayberry Man, Cort Howell. So we're super excited to have you here today. I know we tried having you earlier in the week, but because of the Amazon shutdown thing, technology wise, we weren't able to get it going. But man, we're happy to have you here today.
It's awesome to be here. I appreciate it. I'm glad we worked it out, and always excited to let more people know about our whole Mayberry Man movement and what that's all about.
Yeah, and I love that. And that's something that I'm so excited about because from me first hearing about Mayberry Man and then seeing the movie and everything, I've been following everything ever since. And I've loved every bit of it. So I'm so appreciative of you guys doing that. One thing, just random question of the main characters from the original Andy Griffith Show. Do you have a favorite?
I don't know that I have a favorite. I always enjoyed the supporting characters. Well, obviously Barney Fife is the Babe Ruth of the show, but I always enjoyed Floyd and Otis and a lot, even the smaller characters like there's Lydia and, just little, one-off characters.
Right.
So that was the fabric of that show is so rich, um, which is why it stood the test of time. It's 65 years later, just celebrating the 65th anniversary
Oh,
of the
wow.
Andy Griffith Show. And, it's still going strong. It airs, constantly on multiple stations, and people are still watching.
No, I mean, that's huge. Like, we watch it definitely weekly. And my son, who he's 16 now, he may be the biggest fan of the show that I personally know. He was in the hospital a few years ago, and we went through watching the entire series 3 times while he was in the hospital. So,
Wow.
and it was pretty neat because his first thing he battled cancer, and he's doing great now. But his first thing he wanted to do when he was able to get his first haircut is go to Mount Airy and go to the Floyd's barber shop there to get his haircut. And they were so nice to him. They found out the situation and they gave him a free haircut for his first one. And the people there were just phenomenal.
Nice. So the man who I think was the son of like the guy that cut Andy Griffith's hair was running it. He recently shut down and then it was reopened. They kind of
Oh,
refurbished it, and it's kind of in a way kind of like a little bit of a museum, but I think you can still get haircuts there, but it's a
Oh,
kind of
nice.
a new operation now that pays tribute to the original.
Oh, that's great. I haven't been in a little while, so I need to get back soon.
Yeah.
But I know from your dad's like, just I mean, we were researching, and he acted in so many things and so many just wonderful shows, and had so many different just fascinating roles. Like it was amazing. Like almost any show that I've heard of during his era, like that was family friendly, a great show he was part of. And but
Yeah.
I saw that, like, obviously he had some really interesting roles in part of the Andy Griffith Show. What made y'all want to choose this show for compared to some of the other ones?
Sure. Well, this show chose us really. The Mayberry fan community is really strong, and they have this annual festival in Andy Griffith's hometown. It's called Mayberry Days in Mount Airy, North Carolina. And it was actually my brother's buddy, who is the son of Ronnie Shell, who played Duke Slater on Gomer Pyle, and they were surfing buddies. And Ronnie Shell was still going to these festivals, and he would go and entertain and all that. And his son Greg, Stark's buddy, surfing buddy, said, "You really got to come and check it out." And my brother kind of dismissed it, and he's like, "Why would anybody want to meet me?" And and have me like autograph pictures of my dad, which was sort of the premise of the
Right,
the
right,
film,
right.
as you know. And he's like, "Fine, if they want to pay my way." And so they paid his way out there, and he had this phenomenal experience and kind of opened up this whole world. Now, my father, again, if anybody's not familiar, he played Dud Wash. He was only on 2 episodes. The third time the character of Dud Wash showed up, they replaced him with Bob Denver, who played Gilligan later.
Right.
And the story behind that is, as I've always heard it, was, and they did this back then, is they like to get actors exposure prior to launching a new series. So,
Oh, that's
it's all
interesting.
about the audience being familiar with these actors.
Right,
It's a little different today.
Yeah.
But so anyway, he got replaced. So it was only 2 episodes. And once you get plugged into that community, it's like you're kind of part of the family.
Mhm.
And so it inspired him to write the script. And we thought, this is not the kind of project that Hollywood is really going to want to take on, and if they did, it would we would lose all creative control.
Right.
So uh, he thought, let's crowdfund it, and I had a little bit of experience with that, and I'm like, you can't just put it up on one of these crowdfunding sites and expect people to start giving you money. That's sort of the fantasy. It doesn't really work.
Right.
So I did a little research. My background's advertising and marketing, and I kind of did some research on Facebook and discovered we could actually target Andy Griffith Show fans. And there were over 1 million of them in the United States on Facebook, at least that
I
Facebook
believe it. Yeah.
categorized as. And so I'm like, okay, I know we can get our message in front of people, but there's still more work to do, and you got to do a lot of groundwork. And so we actually, the following year, I joined him in Mount Airy for the Mayberry Days Festival, and we just kind of laid the groundwork. We had some information meetings, things like that, and we got immediate interest. Yeah, I mean, we packed out the lobby of the Holiday Inn Express 2 nights in a
Right.
row with people that wanted to find out about this project.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And we bootstrapped it. We raised about $151,000 on Kickstarter, another 50,000 kind of off of the platform to get us across the finish
Mhm.
line later for post production, things like that. So, I mean, that's a big success when it comes to crowdfunding independent films. So, we're proud of that. And
That's huge.
yeah, and then the next time around, the movie did well. It's on streaming platforms. Unfortunately, at this very moment, you go to search for it on Amazon and you can't find it.
Mhm.
So we're dealing with our distributor on that.
Right.
Um, but if you go to our website, mayberryman.com, you should be able to get the direct links because it's still there. And you can easily find it on Tubi and
Mhm.
on YouTube. It's on our distributor's channel on YouTube for the movie. And then same with the series. The series is now just rolled out onto Amazon and Tubi and YouTube. Actually, I'm not sure about Tubi, but YouTube.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually was watching the series on YouTube, and I think it came out within the past month, but it's already
Yeah.
got great viewing, and I think people are really enjoying it. I was reading the comments, and people had just wonderful comments about it. So
Good, good. Yeah, we got mixed reviews because people come into this, viewers come into this with preconceived notions, and some people will just comment negatively and without even watching it. It's like,
right.
why ruin a good thing?
Mhm.
Leave it alone. Why mess? And it's like, it's not a remake, it's not a reboot. It's a show that's really about the fans of the Andy Griffith
Mhm.
Show, and it's meant to uh, be in the same spirit of Mayberry and
Mhm.
family-friendly, wholesome entertainment that you can sit around and watch, multi-generational, grandparents to grandchildren and everybody in between. Um, and they just don't make television like that anymore. I mean, it's amazing when I go to anytime I try to watch a new series,
Mhm.
I regret my decision,
Right.
and I just go right back to my classics,
Right.
because they just don't put it out. Even the family friendly or the kids shows kind of have an ugly undertone to it,
Right. Right.
and we've been seeing that for a while.
Yeah, and that's so true, and it's such a need, and that's one of the reasons why we felt like you'd be such a great fit to come on with us, because that's really what our podcast is trying to do. We want to, really, really have those family values, be clean, have fun, but also, something that everybody can listen to, and we got people of all ages, and we really enjoy it. We were meeting with a news reporter the other day and talking about it, and we actually did mention the crowdfunding that's going on for season 2 of Mayberry Man. When we were talking, we have some fans as young as 6 years old, and we have fans in their 80s that, are part of the Rojo family and listen, faithfully. So it's really a lot of the same things that we're doing with, just trying to bring positive entertainment in people's lives. And
Yep.
I'm a dad of 4 kids, and that's something that we've always struggled with. And finding those family friendly shows and finding shows that I want the values, like my kids seeing those kind of values.
Yeah,
And
I also have 4 children. They're older now, but the big challenge was always, I couldn't really get them to watch the black and white stuff.
right.
That was always the challenge. So this way, our show is in color, it's a little easier to sell
Right.
to the younger generation. But yeah, it was always a challenge, finding stuff that we could watch together.
Right.
And as you said, we did the movie, then we did season 1, which is a 5-episode series. That was a bigger undertaking. We had some private investors and things like that, and we're kind of getting back to our roots. We're going to do season 2, another 5 episodes, but we're kind of getting back to the way we had approached the movie and just crowdfund it. If the fans want to do it, we're going to do it. And we got off to a great start in the first weekend. I think we maybe raised $61,000, and now we're up to almost $100,000. And our goal on Indiegogo is $175,000, which for professional level television production, that is not much money. It doesn't go far. So, but we have, we call in favors and we get a lot of volunteers. We're going to shoot it in the Midwest, which is where I live now. I grew up in Southern California, but now I'm in the Indianapolis area. And there's a town here outside of Indianapolis where there's a Mayberry Cafe. It's a real restaurant that's Mayberry themed, and they play the TV show on the TVs in the restaurant, and the menu is kind of modeled after the show and all that. And so there's a strong base of support in that town. And so we get a lot of help, locations and volunteers and things like that. So it kind of becomes an episode, the making of it becomes an episode of the Andy Griffith Show, because it's just, everyone pulling together. And it's, you don't see that in LA, which is where I spent most of my time doing production over the previous 30 years. Yeah.
Well, I think y'all have such a creative spin on it. Just, where a lot of people, they'd look at it and like, okay, we're going to try to do a reboot of it or something. But, there's such a loyal fan base, and people absolutely love it. And I feel like as a culture, people want to get back to these family values again. And a lot of them just don't know the steps to take and things like that. So I think, your show and your movie really allows that, and something that the family can be there together with. And I love that spin that y'all take on it, where you really are showing how the people who respond to the show and everything are reacting to it, and really having a lot of those type of people in it. So
yeah. And then we involve the fans in the production, so that's part of that crowdfunding thing. It's like you have a chance to be an extra and join us on set and be a background extra, or get a speaking role and things like that. So some people did it for the novelty of it, right? And then they kind of got the bug, the acting bug. And then the next thing you know, I'm here, they're in another movie and things like that. And so, and they become sort of recurring characters for us. And they were just fans of the Andy Griffith Show, and they've had a great time with it. So sometimes I describe the experience, because in the crowdfunding world, film crowdfunding, there's sort of a debate over, people paying to be in films and things like that. And it's like, we don't want professional actors to pay us to be in our project. If they're a fan of the show and they want to do this as an experience and support what we're doing, by all means, go ahead and contribute and participate that way. But there are certain roles where we need professional actors. And in that situation, we put out a casting call for professionals. So, I just wanted to touch on that, because it is a touchy subject for some people. It's like, independent filmmakers, you should pay all your actors. It's like, well, we do pay our actors, but we're doing this project so that people that aren't actors can sort of have that experience, kind of like a fantasy camp for, baseball fantasy camp or something like that.
Yeah, I've heard about the Braves fantasy camps. So. But no, and I think it's great, because even in watching the movie and the show, like, you wouldn't know that. I think y'all do such a good job at prepping them and everything. I would before hearing that, I would have assumed everybody was just paid and trained actors, because the skill level's fantastic. So that goes a lot with what you and your brother are doing too.
He writes parts knowing that amateurs are going to be doing it, right? So the movie was, people were just pretty much playing themselves. Most of them, they were playing fans of the Andy Griffith Show. Right. So they already know how to do that. Right. But some people had more skills. Maybe they had community theater experience or whatever. And so then they got a little beefier roles. We always have everyone audition for whatever role we're thinking they might be good for. And sometimes it's a little hard to find a role
Right.
that's suitable for someone that
Oh
may
yeah.
not have the acting chops we're looking for. But we'll rewrite, we'll create a character, we'll do things to make sure that we don't sacrifice the quality of the project, because
Mhm.
we all want to be part of something that, we can be proud of. Both my brother and I, our whole careers have been spent in the entertainment industry. He's worked for Disney and Nickelodeon and, uh, uh, all the major studios, primarily in animation. He was a storyboard artist and director, but and I've done advertising primarily and a little bit of indie film. And so, we have a standard we want to maintain, and we want to make sure everyone comes out looking good, that you can all be proud of it. And I think we've been successful so far, so we're going to try to
Right.
keep it
Yeah.
going.
Well, like you kind of said earlier, the Andy Griffith Show has really never gone away. It's always been there. I grew up watching that show on TV Land. Like my parents grew up, and I'm from North Carolina, so there's like a deeper connection.
Right.
My aunt and uncle used to live in Mount Airy, so I
Oh,
remember
wow.
visiting them. It was pretty surreal watching the Andy Griffith Show in Mayberry.
Right.
I remember sitting there in the living room thinking, "Wow, the diner's literally down the road from my aunt and uncle's place. This is pretty cool." But now with the movie being out, season 1 out, working on season 2, what's the reaction been from Mount Airy and those people? I know the people in that town are faithful Andy Griffith fans, and they love the show and very supportive. But what's that been like, the response after the movie
It's
being done?
yeah, the Mount Airy reaction has been mixed. Uh, First of all, it's some people in Mount Airy are not thrilled that it's so Mayberry themed, right? Right? That there's other reasons to go to Mount Airy than the Andy Griffith Show.
Right.
But so
Yeah.
it's kind of a love-hate relationship, even with some of the residents. But some are very possessive about it, and it's like, well, because we film the bulk of the Mayberry stuff in the Midwest, and they get really upset about that. And I'm like,
Mhm.
well, the Andy Griffith Show was not a speck of it was filmed in North Carolina or Mount Airy. So
Right.
what's the big hang up? I mean, it
Right.
was all filmed in Hollywood. So,
Right. Right.
but they get possessive about it, and that's their prerogative. So it's a little mixed. There's a little competition with when we film there. It would be during the festival because that's when the fans are in town. So it's like we're always kind of trying to work around the festival and not interfere and step on anyone's toes. So it's just been a little tricky to navigate. And so this next time around, also for budgetary reasons, the previous projects we filmed in multiple states, and it's just, terrifically expensive. And
Mhm.
so this next time around, we're going to stay all in one spot, and that'll be in Danville, Indiana, in the general area, which the town of Danville, Indiana actually looks more like Mayberry than Mount Airy does.
Okay.
So it's very picturesque, traditional, courthouse in the middle of the square and all that.
Right.
So
No, so the Mayberry days, that's been kind of a dream of mine to go for a long time. Like I've never made it to a Mayberry days. I have made it to Mayberry or Mount Airy, but
yeah.
hadn't made it to Mayberry days. But it was funny. I was talking to, so I teach middle school as well, and I was talking to some of my students about it, and they're like, "No, we don't know what the Andy Griffith Show is." And so I went ahead and put it on, and this was just this week, and put on an episode, and it was one of the black and white ones, and one of the kids just raises his hand, and he goes, "Mr. Miller, when did the world turn color?" And I almost lost it. Like I was just like, what do you mean? And I didn't even understand what he was asking at first, but he wanted to know, like, because he assumed the world was black and white at one point. So
It feels like that sometimes when you watch the
right.
old movies. You got to go watch you got to show him the Wizard of Oz next.
Oh yeah,
He'll see
point.
when it changed.
That's when
right,
it
right.
changed right there.
No, but so they watched an episode of the Griffin Show, and then they watched one of y'all's episodes, and they loved it. So they're
Oh,
like, "Hey,
good.
this is good." So
Awesome.
so
Awesome. Yeah,
they said they're going to tell their parents about it.
yeah, we try to make it up to date, but at the same time, it's different pacing. It's a different style of comedy. It's not joke, 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 joke stuff. It's more in the vein of the Andy Griffith Show, which is a little
Mhm.
more dialogue and character
Right.
driven stuff, not like your typical sitcom. So,
Yeah. So
some people love it, some people don't, and that's fine. That's going to be
right.
true of anything. One time when the movie came out, we're getting some negative reviews, and so on, we would do regular live streams for our followers on our YouTube channel and our Facebook page. And so one time I was going over reviews, and then I started sharing negative reviews, and people were kind of like, what is he doing? Why?
Mhm.
And then I revealed that all these negative reviews were like about Star Wars and Jaws and Godfather and like all these
Right.
Yeah.
legendary films. It's like,
Mhm.
it doesn't matter. There's got to be negative reviews.
Right. One of my friends, who's John DeToy, he's been on the show as well, like on our show as well, and he just had a special come out, and he was texting me. I was like, "Hey man, great special, and you did a good job and everything." He's like, "Yeah, only one negative review," and I was like, "Well, you're always going to have those regardless."
Yeah.
But
So we do have it, our sort of mini army of fans, followers, super fans, whatever you want to call them, people that were part of the project, and they'll chime in. They'll try to respond to people and like let them know it's like, no, it's not a remake. It's just try watching it. I think you'll
right,
like it. If you're a fan of the Andy Griffith Show, you'll like it. The movie's a little tricky because it doesn't start out in Mayberry, so
right.
people start watching this. First of all, they're expecting a remake or something,
Mhm.
and it's like there's nothing Mayberry until about 13 minutes in. And so they mention it, but I think in today's streaming world, 13 minutes is an eternity
Right.
for people. So, I think we get into it a little better in the series, where the opening scene takes
At the
place
very
in
beginning.
Mayberry Festival, and so you've got Barney and Floyd and all that, and you're kind of seeing
Right.
them as characters doing a show for people. So it starts
Mhm.
to establish what is this world. It's people that celebrate the Andy Griffith Show. Okay, got it.
No, that's good, and that is a big difference that I noticed from the start of the series. So one of the things that I find really interesting is you and your brother being able to do so much work together. Now, I've got brothers and I love them. Austin has a brother he loves. Like, how do you guys make it work? Is it something that y'all have always looked at doing projects together, or is this something that just
No, it's just out of necessity. We
Valid.
both we each bring our own strengths to it.
right?
So it's tricky, but we're we have the same goal. We want to make something of quality and we want it to succeed. So um but there's overlap, and so there's negotiation that goes on with
Hmm.
that's true of any creative project.
Oh
You've
yeah,
got the creative side, and then you've got the business side, and you got to get them on the same page. And so we don't have unlimited budget, so there's always
hmm
a negotiation about whether we can do this or we can use that location or whatever. um, and we want to make sure it's marketable. So how do we position what we're doing as far as in the marketplace? How do we pitch it? Things like that. So I'm more on the business, budget, producing, marketing side. He's the storytelling,
right.
creative, and he's the writer and director. So it's his baby. And we each wear a lot of hats. I mean,
Hmm.
Mhm.
he's out there with our budget. He's painting sets, repainting uh,
Right.
the walls back to the original color. He's creating props. He's doing all sorts of stuff. I mean, he's going to his closet to find wardrobe, for stuff. Shot part of the series at his house. Um, so it's you do what you got to do, and we both have plenty to do in our own lanes. But we do, overlap at times, and you just kind of work it out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, was it your brother that came to you about the show, or was it kind of like a mutual discussion, or?
Well, it was his idea. He wrote the original film, the movie script, and then he shared it with me, and I read it, and I'm like, oh, I think you've got something here. Let's talk about it, and maybe I can help. And then you just get in deeper and deeper until you can't get out. So
So, what would you say is the like part you would like which one do you enjoy more? Do you prefer doing the movie or the series? Or is it just kind of two different feelings?
Well, it's not that different because the way we shoot the series is we shoot it like a long movie.
Mhm.
It actually is the kind of series where the story just continues,
Right.
through all the episodes. So it's not so contained like like the Andy Griffith Show. The stories kind of start and wrap up in the same episode, where this is more like contemporary series or limited series where the story continues over multiple episodes. But because we're not a studio project, we got to be as efficient as possible. So it's like we basically 5 episodes are in one script.
Okay.
The different episodes are delineated, but because we got to shoot every scene at the diner, for the season pretty much
Mhm.
on the same day, right?
Oh, okay,
We
okay.
can't,
That makes
we
sense.
don't have standing sets, we're
Yeah.
not in a sound stage. So we kind of approach it like a movie anyway.
Right.
So feels very much the same.
So for like your season 1, the 5 episodes, like what kind of timeline does it take to film that?
Um, I can't remember the exact day count on that. Usually breaks down to pages, how many
Mhm.
pages a day. If you have 7 pages a day, 8 pages a day, and 120-page script, then you just do the math. Next go around, we're probably gonna have to do a higher page count. So
Mhm.
he's writing it a little more efficiently as far as locations and things like that. So we'll probably try to do 10 pages a day, which
Okay.
is a lot,
Yeah.
but it's not a lot if you approach it the right way.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
it's dialogue driven. And, you know, I told him we're going to try to do, it'll probably end up being 120 something pages, maybe longer. Usually it's a page a minute, but in comedy, especially dialogue driven comedy, um, it's, you get a higher ratio. So maybe it's 130 pages or whatever, but, figure you got 12 days to shoot it, um, 10 to 12 pages a day. Uh, let's try to do 12 locations so we're not moving a lot around.
Right,
Let's
right.
go set up one place and shoot out all those scenes. And think about it, 10, 12 pages. In If a scene is 2 or 3 pages, that's one scene per episode. Um, that makes sense
Yeah, yeah.
for that location. Yeah.
So let's say Austin was an actor and he had to do the 10 different scenes in that one location. Does he have like wardrobe changes just throughout
Right.
it, or how does all that work?
Yeah, exactly. It's a lot of prep goes into it to figure out what day it is in the story. And
Mhm.
then you've got wardrobe changes for each day. And so, yeah, if we're shooting uh, at the diner again, for example, and there's scenes that happen on day 2, day 6, and day 9, and I'm talking about in the story day.
Right.
Yeah, someone's got to keep track of
Wow.
what day this scene is on and what's his wardrobe change. So,
Man,
yeah,
that
you're just swapping out
brilliant.
clothes and redressing the set as needed. And but that's part of the continuity job.
Mhm.
Hopefully you have a script supervisor who's
Right.
doing continuity and makes sure that everyone's and the wardrobe stylist would keep track of that as well. Um,
And that's so fascinating to me because those are things I don't think about when I'm watching a show or watching a movie or
right.
anything. So it's really interesting to hear about that, and I think a lot of the Rojo family will find that really interesting too.
Just get my trailer ready, Court. Just get my trailer
All right,
ready. I'll
yeah.
bring some on. I've
Well,
got too many clothes as it is. But you talking
we've
about
got
having a
lots of
lot of
roles available, so maybe we'll see you on the set.
talking about having like a lot of like volunteers and people kind of like fans being in the show and like I'm sure it's extras and maybe small roles and things like that. Does it get challenging at times when you have a bunch of like fans who are in the show? Like, do you have to do some like crowd control because they're just so hyped up
Oh
to
yeah,
be there?
He said, "Oh
yes.
yeah,
I could imagine. I could tell me about that because I could imagine. But
So we had a team of two ladies coordinating all of our amateur talent, our background extras and stuff. And I wasn't sure they were going to survive the movie. It was so stressful for them
Right.
because you don't really know you got to create a system. You got to
Mhm.
invent a system to make this happen. The other aspect of this is in the movie situation. It wasn't quite the same for the series season 1, but we were also filming in the middle of COVID. So we had a check-in process where people are like getting their temperature taken and
Mhm.
signing waivers every day. It was very labor intensive.
Yeah.
So it's a little tricky. We've learned a lot on the previous productions, and so I'm going to try to have all that done in advance this time. You know, a
Right.
little DocuSign action, get it all squared away.
Yeah,
All you do is
yeah.
show up, and
Right.
check in. But it's a little tricky. And then we had an assistant director. Now the assistant director is like the drill sergeant of the movie set, and they're a different breed in anyway. But this guy was from Hollywood, and so he had a certain way of doing things, and he was used to having certain tools and
Mhm.
personnel. And we had to break him like a horse. It was, but eventually he got there, and then it was a positive experience for him. In fact, I mean, I think it was a really eye-opening experience for him. And then he was back on season 1 as well,
Right.
and totally gets it now. But boy, it was rough there a little bit. It's like, you can't talk to these people this way.
Well, I feel like Austin can relate. He's probably had to do that with me a little bit. So,
Just a little bit. But I could imagine you having a lot of fans, for the show, like Mayberry Man in the movie, like just being super excited to be on the set. Like I would imagine telling people, "Hey, stop talking. Hey, calm down." Like
Right.
almost like it's like a field trip for some of these.
Yeah.
It's like, y'all, we're trying to film something here.
I feel like we prep them to understand that, you're going to be working. There's no way for anyone to know if they've never been on a set what it's really like and
Mhm.
how slow it is and how much waiting there is and all that stuff. Um, but they showed up and they did a phenomenal job. Like if you look at the movie, all the extras, you never had anyone, you know, sneaking glances at the camera or doing
Mhm.
anything strange. They were they were pros. That was one of the things that impressed me the most is about what a great job they did as background talent, because that's its own kind of art form.
Right, right.
How do you look natural? How do you not be a distraction? And then you got to do it over and over again and remember
Right.
exactly what you did. And you know, so I think it was a fun experience for them. Uh, if you ever get a chance to do it, I mean, I say give it a try. I think you'll enjoy it. And they all have the Andy Griffith Show in common. So when
Right.
that downtime, they're just talking about the stuff they love and episodes. And we've written a lot of bits and Easter eggs in
Yeah.
relative to the Andy Griffith Show, so they can talk about that stuff. So we try to make it a fun experience. And, we have plenty of room on season 2. So if anyone wants to check it out, supportmayberryman.com is the place to
Right.
go. We're on Indiegogo. You can find it there. But if you go to supportmayberryman.com or just mayberryman.com, our main website, there's links to find
Yeah.
it.
No, I think that's great, and I think that's a good opportunity if somebody's wanting to be part of something like this. I think that could be a lot of fun. We have a couple friends of the podcast. Miss Neva Howell, she actually was on one of the episodes, and she was in Clark Kent's mom in the Superman movie, the most recent
Oh,
one.
nice.
And then one of my really good friends, Matt Murphy, he was an extra in that movie, but he played, I think, 3 or 4 different roles in it, where he had to do a lot of things. So I do, he was talking to me a little bit about that on being an extra and the challenges, sometimes of having to play so many different roles and everything in it.
Yeah.
But so I think there's a skill in both of them, like in both aspects.
Yeah. And the other thing that I want to mention is you don't have to travel this time. This wasn't the case in the previous productions, but this time we've just opened up a reward level, a perk level for people to actually be in the show without having to travel and be on set with us.
Oh.
Because there's a lot of people that either can't afford to travel or just it's just not convenient, it's too expensive, whatever. So we've got some clever ways to get your face in the show, or
Oh,
maybe
wow.
your voice in the show, maybe a video of you on the show. Just you could be a voice on the radio or on the other end of a telephone, things like that. So we're trying to be as inclusive as possible for the fans. And again, whatever it is, the goal is to say, for you to be able to watch it with your family and say, "Hey, that's me," you
Right.
know?
Yeah.
When you look at what you guys are doing and you look at the Andy Griffith Show that a lot of this comes from, and a lot of the things that y'all are doing, how important do you feel like it is for just just kindness overall, and like how that can change hearts and help people?
Well, we've definitely accomplished that in the process of making these shows. I mean, what people take away from watching them, that's a little bit beyond our control. We try to make the show as wholesome and
Hmm.
positive as possible. It's not sappy Hallmark positive.
Right.
It's like we're not like when you talk about like faith-based films, a lot of them are just very formulaic. And
I agree 100%.
yeah,
100.
well, it's literally preaching to the choir. And someone asked
Right.
the other day, it's like, why are all these Christian films like this? I'm like, because that's what the market wants.
Right.
That's I don't know.
Well,
Why can't we
also,
make edgier Christian films? Like, well,
right.
I'm sure people have tried in that
Mhm.
particular market. So it's not a faith-based show, but I call it faith-friendly.
Right.
So we try not to do anything that's inconsistent with faith. Although, in the series, season 1, there's the scene where Barney is conjuring up the spirits of Andy and Barney.
Right.
It's a reference or a nod to one of the episodes of the Andy
Right.
Griffith
Right.
Show,
Right.
3 Wishes for Opie.
Mhm.
So, and we got a couple of comments about that. I
Really?
guess, yeah, because some people are like, that's not, cool for
Right.
Christians or whatever. And it's like,
Right.
it's just a nod to the Andy Griffith Show. And
Right.
yeah, I mean, I know people that are very, strict on that stuff. And
Mhm.
so, you know, um, we're not,
Even
we're not going to be overly sensitive to things
Mhm.
like that. So for some people, it might be too secular. I don't know.
Right. Well,
But,
Austin
oh,
and
well, I was
I.
gonna say real quick, sorry.
Okay.
The on-set experience, though, is kinda transformative. So, like, people that like our assistant director who work in Hollywood, they don't experience the environment that we
Right.
have on
Right.
set.
I'm sure.
The positivity and the caring and all that
Mhm.
stuff. And we've even had people, like we've rented an RV for the Airstream mobile home that the movie agent was working out of in the series. Yeah, we rented that from someone who rents it to productions.
Mhm.
And he even came up unsolicited at the end. He was on his way out, and he's like, "I've never been on a set like this." It was that noticeable for him. And
No, that's awesome.
we've had other comments like that. People
Mhm.
that's like from the industry are like, this was just such a different experience.
Right. I'm
Right.
sure there's a culture shock. I mean, when you're
Yeah.
coming from Hollywood and that's all to something like this is like, whoa, this is kind of nice. Like it's nice. It's a nice break from the normalcy maybe that they're used to.
And it's not that we're going out of our way. It's just
Right.
we've collected a team of people that are on the same page when it comes with how we act and treat one another. So
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And a lot of times those things can derive from your faith, and that's a big
Right.
thing. So like Austin and I are big people of faith, and but people are like, oh well, is it a Christian podcast? Is it not? It's like we're people of faith, and we're gonna put out a clean podcast where we don't shy away from talking about our faith, but that's not the primary
right.
focus of it, and
Right. Like I've worked with people that are much more faith front and center in
Mhm.
whether it's the production world. So I'm willing to bet a lot of these faith films, they're gathering around and praying together
Right.
before they start the day.
Mhm.
I had that happen. I was working on an infomercial. That's a lot of my background is producing infomercials.
Okay.
Working on an infomercial with Billy Blanks, you know, the
Oh,
Tybo
yeah.
guy.
The
And they
legend.
insisted they wanted to start every day with prayer on the
Right.
set. And, you know, that's not what we do, but,
Mhm.
um, you know, there's people that approach it that way, and
Right.
that's fine too.
Well, do you feel like faith really goes into a lot of what y'all are doing and the purpose behind it? Or do you feel like it's more just those values trying to
Yeah, I just think it's the values and what's important to us, both my brother and myself, and pretty much, you know, all the key players are
right.
people of faith, and you know, so we don't go out of our way. We just want to make a quality family product.
No, that's great, and I appreciate that. I mean, I hope that there's even more people starting to follow suit, and y'all even have different ideas and different things that open up outside of this, so y'all can just expand and grow because the world needs this. The world needs shows like this. The world needs movies like this, and I think it's really important. My kids, the majority of the shows they have to watch are shows from when I was a kid or earlier because there's not, like we said, not a lot of stuff right now, and
Right.
and it gives them a break from a lot of the things that are going on in the world today.
Which I think too, like we've talked about, I think that's why these like older classic shows, and shows like them, like, so, talking about the Andrew Griffith Show, but Mayberry Man, why they're almost having like a comeback. I think people like the break from some of the normalcy and some of the stuff that's been being put out for a long time, where you can't really have the whole family watching some things, or you can't really watch this movie, or you can't watch this episode, but you can watch this episode of this show. And it's just nice to have something where everyone can come together. You don't have to worry about pausing something or say, hey, go out of the ring for a second. So
Right.
I think that's the appeal.
Well, you can't even watch sports anymore
Right.
with
Yeah.
what's going on, not just during the podcast necessarily, but the commercials.
Hmm.
It's just there's so few places you can go now to watch something with your family.
Yeah.
And it's kind of tragic, and we're doing our little part. I mean, that's part of the pitch I probably don't mention enough is like, you know, we didn't want to try to do this with studio money, with Hollywood
Hmm.
money, because we know where that would go.
Right.
I don't know that they would want to do it anyway. But, you know, if we don't create this content, who is?
Right.
I mean, it's up to us. We have to just create it ourselves. Um, and it's a drop in the bucket when you look at what's being pumped out by
Hmm.
Hollywood.
Yeah. So
And I think that's a big lesson too. If you want to see change, like, you got to do it. Like you can't just wait for somebody else to do these things. So I'm
right.
grateful for people like y'all that go into it with the uncertainty of raising the funds and all these different things. And even with having a smaller budget than most people have to operate on for putting out a production like this, y'all find ways to make it work and put out quality entertainment. And I really appreciate that, and I know a lot of people do. Um,
Yeah, I guess one of the things that's a little bit discouraging in the process is all the work that goes into this and all the money, um, that people contribute. At the end of the day, we've got, you know, 2.5 hours of content
Mhm.
compared to what Hollywood's pumping out.
right.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I just have to not think about that and keep doing it.
Hmm.
And more people get involved, and maybe we can do more. If
Right.
there's nothing stopping people from contributing more money to our
Right.
campaign,
Right.
we'd love to do 10 episodes. We'll do 10 seasons,
Yeah.
Yeah.
but that's again, the market determines that. And
Hmm.
so
Yeah.
right now we're a couple weeks into our campaign. We got off to a great start, which is awesome. And but then we hit that middle of the campaign
Hmm.
lull right now, so it's just a little bit of a grind. We had a lot of people sort of waiting in the wings, not waiting, but that have already told us they're going to be coming in at sort of
Mhm.
higher backer levels. So I'm confident we'll get a lot closer to our goal, but
Right. Yeah.
it's still going to be probably down to the wire. And so anybody watching or listening to this at this point, um, check it out, mayberryman.com or support mayberryman.com. And if we're close to the finish line, we'd love your help.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I saw on the support page, a lot of people may be thinking they got to come in with just huge sums of money. There's help you can give toward it on all levels,
Oh,
and
yeah. So the reward levels start at $10
right,
and go up from there. And pretty much anybody that supports us will get a chance to see the series before it's released. We always do a pre release online screening and we try to make a big
mhm,
deal out of that and make it a lot of fun and do some, live guests and stuff. So it's just, and you'll get to follow along the whole process. Um, and even if you can't join us on set, you're part of the family at that point, and so we try to include you in as much as we can. Um, and it's I was headed somewhere with that, but um, yeah, any amount is much appreciated, and even if you can't give financially, um, just sharing it, and we actually there's a lot of value to us in having the low dollar backers
right,
because it just builds our audience.
mhm,
Um, and then when the thing does come out on streaming systems and we let everybody know, people go watch it. And
right,
that's helpful to help more people discover the series and the movie and everything else. So, the original Kickstarter campaign we did for the movie, we had 800 backers. The next time around, we had a lower number of backers. I would love to see us get back up to that 800 backer
right,
love, just participation.
yeah,
Um, the our kids' school, I had kids in a private Christian, classical Christian school for a 22-year span, but we always, had one fundraiser each year, and it was always
mhm,
the theme was, 100% participation. It doesn't matter what you contribute, we just want you to participate.
right, right,
And so that's kind of my attitude is we just want people to participate, demonstrate some level of support so that we can just build momentum and spread the word and let more people know about what we're doing.
right. Well, no, I mean, I think that's definitely a huge thing, and my wife and I have already talked about we definitely plan on helping to support. So,
Awesome. Thank you.
definitely want to be part of that, and also sharing and letting people know about it. But I wanted to ask just a couple questions as we're getting ready to close. Um,
Yeah.
was there was there anybody on set, whether they were an actor or behind the scenes, that just was like kind of that joy ambassador for you guys that just kind of kept everything? Maybe y'all were going through a tough part or had to do a few takes of something or whatever it was. They were just always uplifting and kind of keeping people cheered up.
I couldn't identify one because there were so many.
Hmm.
Um, that so a lot of the people involved are Mayberry tribute artists. I mean, that's what they do. They
Right.
entertain Andy Griffith fans at festivals and things like that. And there's just so many. So we had more than enough, positive
Oh,
cheerleaders.
that's great.
Definitely.
Now, what do you think Andy Griffith would say about Hollywood today?
Um, I don't know if he's would be that concerned about
Right.
what's going
Okay. Okay.
on.
Yeah, well, it
um,
is interesting because coming from the Andy Griffith Show to Matlock, we were trying to watch Matlock, and I'm like, "Oh, man, there's some language in this," and I was surprised by that, seeing that from him. So
yeah, I mean, the Andy Griffith or the Andy Taylor, Sheriff Taylor was a character, and he would
right.
admit this. That was an idealized character,
Mhm.
and everybody's Hollywood's not not child's play. It was very
Right.
lot of rough language. If you read like the book The Boys by Ron Howard and Clint Howard,
Mhm.
very adult world that these
Right.
kids grew up in. So they've been desensitized to a lot of stuff, which I think
Yeah.
also I think Ron has navigated that phenomenally for him to grow up as a child star and then,
Mhm.
you know, accomplished what he's accomplished without going down that
Right.
road that so many child stars go. But he's pretty open-minded as well, and to each his own. But
Yeah.
the Howard family, we grew up with friends with the Howards.
Mhm.
I was the younger one, so I wasn't that much involved, but I was around, and my father and Ron's father, Rance, were best buddies, and they were writing partners, and
Oh, neat.
they were all good quality. It was a great family.
Right.
Midwestern values. They were from Oklahoma, I think.
Okay.
And Rance's parenting style was first rate, you know. So they were raised well, and they've turned out, great compared to what has happened to many of the people that have grown up
Right,
in that
right.
industry.
Yeah.
Well,
But just quality people.
yeah. No, that's good to hear. And thinking back on Andy, it's kind of interesting. I don't know if you knew this, Austin, but I saw a oh, what would it be? Like the advertisement before a concert, like I can't think of it, but the poster, I guess, for the concert. And Elvis Presley was opening for an Andy Griffith at one point. So
Oh yeah, I think I've seen
yeah.
that.
Yeah, and I thought that was pretty interesting. I was like, man, I'd like to see one in person. I've only seen it on the internet, but yeah. So back, I think it was before the show, and
That is pretty cool.
right. But if you could add one character to like the Andy Griffith Show, just like somebody random, a one-off character or whatever that you think could have made a real fun episode, like just the type of person or whatever. What would you have done? You think?
Oh, I don't know that I could come up with one better than what they
Right.
used, but I recently did on one of our live streams. I went through a lot of the minor characters and
Hmm.
kind of went over the ones I would have liked to have seen more of. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
um, there's so many great minor character. I would like to have seen more of Dud Wash,
Right.
played by my dad.
Right. Right.
But like one of the examples I gave was like Lydia, who's the one that Barney tries to set Andy up with, and you know, Andy plays the guitar. It's like, I hate the guitar.
Right.
I don't mind the clarinet or the saxophone, but I hate the guitar. Like just total deadpan.
I remember that.
I thought she was a great
Oh
character.
yeah.
One of the characters that I talked about was like Ernest T. Bass.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Would we like to have seen more? I don't know. He was
Yeah.
only in 5 episodes. And
Wow.
when you think about that and the impact he had, it's like maybe 6 would have been too many, too much Ernest
Right.
T. And some people don't like the character. Some people don't like the Darlings, the Mountain Family, and all
Right.
that.
Yeah.
Some people really don't like the Fun Girls.
Hmm.
So some of these characters are really strong and need to be in small doses. So I would choose from, some of these minor characters were in the town already. Like Gus, Burt Mustin plays Gus, the older townsperson. He would have a line here and there. Might have been
Right.
fun.
Right.
He was in Leave It to Beaver
Hmm.
as the volunteer fireman or whatever
Right.
that role was. Can never get enough of him. He would have been fun to see
Well,
more of.
the other day, it was probably 2 weeks ago, I was communicating with, I think it's Mr. Dillard, the last surviving darling.
Yes,
And
yes.
so he's actually trying to plan a time to come on. And
Oh, good.
yeah, so, but we were communicating recently. So I thought that was interesting. And I think that, I don't know, I liked their roles. I thought they were fun. So
Yeah, I
I
thought those
could
were
almost
great
even see the
episodes.
spinoff.
Yeah. Well, those are great episodes, extremely well written, and like Denver Pyle, is Briscoe Darling. I
Hmm.
can't think there's any other character who's as quotable for the amount
Right.
of screen time he had.
Hmm.
So
Right.
many great quotes, and then just playing off the boys who never
Right.
said
Right.
anything.
Yeah.
Just great. Those are great episodes, and fortunately, my dad was in a couple of those, so
Yeah.
kind of elevates our status as
Right.
Mayberry legacies, even though my dad was only in 2 episodes.
Hmm.
Yeah. Well, it's great you saying that Ernest T. Bass was only in 5 episodes. I would have guessed he was in, like, just
Right?
half of and I've seen the show, I don't know how many times, but, like, just the
Right.
impact his character they made in those 5 episodes, like,
Yeah,
that's pretty
Howard
cool.
Morris, who played Ernest T. Bass, does show up in one additional episode, but he's playing, I forget the name, but he's playing the TV repairman,
Mm,
who
okay.
shows up at the
I didn't
lake
know
with
that.
Barney when Andy's out at the lake or something. I don't know.
Right. Okay. Well, I think Ernest T. Bass is such a relatable character that somebody's got an Ernest T. Bass in their life some level.
Right.
You know?
Everybody has an Ernest.
Maybe that's
Yeah.
why he seems like he's in more episodes. But
Exactly.
no, man, we appreciate you coming on today. And so grateful for what you guys are doing. If you don't mind, could you just share real quick just how people can find you guys again and how they can support, and also if you guys ideally, like if everything happens right timing with the funding and stuff, when y'all would hope to start potentially filming.
Sure, sure. So the main hub for us would be our website, mayberryman.com. That's the simplest. It's right there on the hat, mayberryman.com. But we have a more detailed website for season 2 that's called supportmayberryman.com. And both of those websites have links to our Indiegogo campaign, which is active for a few more weeks. Maybe only a week or 2 by the time this airs. I'm not sure when you guys will air this, but assuming everything goes as planned, which I think we'll hit our goal. I'm pretty confident. We'll probably be filming in June,
Okay.
next June. Kind of need to let school get out. We need some free college interns to help
Right.
us, so, get some film students out there. And so June's probably the earliest we would shoot.
Okay.
You never know when schedules and for the talent. I think our main crew is going to be, our main cast is going to be a little tighter this time. So I think everybody's going to be available for
Okay.
June, and then we would love to turn it around by the end of the year. Is that doable? I don't
Right.
know. In the past, it's taken us like almost a year to
Mhm.
complete, but I think if we attack it right away, and we kind of have a plan, we'd like to get it out by the end, that fall, end of the year,
Okay.
so that people can start enjoying it.
No, that's great. And Rojo family, check it out. Support this. I think it's something that we all need in our lives, and definitely this next generation to give them some positive things to watch and become fans of. If you hadn't seen the Mayberry Man film or the episodes, you can see them on so many places. They're YouTube. Once the Amazon gets worked out again, you can find them on Amazon again. That's where I originally watched it. And
And there's links from our website as
okay,
well.
yeah, the
That'll
links
take
from
you
the
directly
website.
to Amazon, so you can find it.
Yeah. All right, and man, we appreciate you coming on, and thank you so much.
Oh, my
And
pleasure. I appreciate the invitation.
yeah, and Rojo family, where can they find us,
You
Austin?
can find us Life with Rojo on all social media platforms: Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. I think that's it.
Right.
I think that's it. We appreciate you guys, and we hope you guys have a great week, and we'll see you next time.
All right, love you guys. Have a good one.
I'd like to introduce myself. I don't believe that we have ever met. I think that we could hit it off so well. Let me paint a picture, you and me together. I'd like to introduce myself.